Good morning and Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion, the Torah describes how the Nesiim, the leaders of the 12 tribes of Israel, brought the 12 precious stones that were placed in the breastplate of the high priest. And our rabbis point out that the word Nesiim, heads of the tribes, the word HaNesiim, the heads of the tribes, in this particular verse is spelled missing one of the two yuds. There's a letter missing. And our rabbis inquire why. And our rabbis say that when it came to the construction of the tabernacle, Moshe Rabbeinu made an announcement: everyone should bring donations. And the heads of the tribes of Israel, who were the wealthiest people, said to Moshe, listen, let everyone else contribute. And at the end, whatever is missing, whatever the deficit is, we'll fill in. We will contribute whatever is lacking in the amount of donations. But what happened? Not only did the Jewish people bring everything that was needed, they brought more than enough. And Moshe Rabbeinu had to announce that we're not accepting any more contributions. And as a result, the heads of the tribes were not able to contribute. So this time, when it came to donating the stones for the breastplate of the high priest, they were the first ones to bring. And our rabbis say that they were punished because they did not bring right away, and they said, we'll bring at the end whatever's lacking. But the question is, why were they penalized? What did they do wrong? On the contrary, they made a very generous offer that they would bring whatever donations are lacking. And a very beautiful insight is that the mistake of the heads of the tribes, why they're punished, and a letter is taken out of their names to signify that they didn't perform the mitzvah properly, was not that they said, we'll bring whatever's lacking at the end. That was a generous offer. The mistake was that they assumed that the Jewish people would not bring sufficient donations. They assumed negatively that the Jewish people would not be as generous to fulfill all the needs of the tabernacle. And the lesson here for the heads of the tribes, for every leader, for every parent, for every teacher is never underestimate the goodness and the potential of those that you lead. Always believe in people. If there's a campaign, believe they're going to give more than enough. And indeed, at the Palm Beach Synagogue, recently we acquired a piece of property and we had a goal, and we exceeded the goal by over 30%. That's how generous the members of the congregation were. And it reminded me of this verse. However, there's one exception, and that is, as Menachem Begin said, the number one lesson we learned from the Holocaust was that when your enemy says they're going to do something to you, God forbid, believe them. Take them seriously. Don't take it lightheartedly. And do everything in your means to stop them, and don't enable them to have the opportunity to do what they say they're going to do. And we've seen this now with Russia. As Russia amassed 100,000 troops, there were those that said, nah, Putin will never invade, it's just a game, it's just a scare tactic. But we see now that he meant what he intended to do. And the lesson should be very clear, and we should remember this lesson forever. And as Iran is threatening to do what it says it's going to do, the world has to take Iran seriously and know that when our enemies say they're going to do something, just like Hitler during the Holocaust, we cannot fail to take them seriously. But outside of evil people who state that they're going to do evil things, we have to believe and judge everyone favorably and believe in their full goodness and potential. It's a story I read recently in Israel. It was told by the rabbi who oversaw this story. Basically, there was a man by the name of Elisha Schlesinger, and he was driving on Friday afternoon up north to visit his parents in northern Israel. He was running low on gas, so 20 minutes before he got to his parents' home, he pulled off the highway into a gas station to fill up. He filled up his entire tank, and as he's about to pull off, he sees a woman with 3 kids with the hood of the car open, standing on the corner of the gas station. He goes over, he says, is everything okay? It was 3 hours before Shabbat. And she said, yeah, I'm driving with my kids down south to the Shomron, to Alei Zahav for Shabbat, and our car started overheating and it broke down, and I'm stranded here in the gas station. This man, Elisha Schlesinger, looks at the woman and thinks, and he says, you know what, I have an idea. He says, I'm 20 minutes away from home. I'll get a ride to my parents. Here's the keys to my car. I just filled it up with a full tank of gas. You take the car, you have 3 hours to get to the Shomron, and after Shabbat you'll call me and we'll get away to get my car back. The woman couldn't believe the stranger, a fellow Jew, was giving him her car. It was unbelievable. She said, thank you, I can't thank you enough, and that's what she did. She went into his car and drove south. He called his father picked him up. Saturday night, she drove back to northern Israel and came to return the car. And when she saw the mother, she started to tell the mother about her son, who was 28 years old. Elisha, how wonderful, how kind, what a gesture. He's so remarkable. And the woman said, I'm thinking, what should I buy him as a present to thank him? And the mother said to this woman, he doesn't need a present. What he needs is a shidduch. He needs a wife. He's 28 years old. The woman went home and put a Facebook post up talking about the whole story and how kind this young man, Elisha Schlesinger, was. And said, if you know a woman who's as kind as him, I want to make a shidduch for him. The very first suggestion that came pouring in, amongst many, was a woman by the name of Naomi. Sure enough, she arranged the shidduch. Turns out she was a wonderful woman like him, a wonderful man, and they got married. And this story was told by none other than Rabbi Ramon, who officiated at the wedding and repeated the entire story at the wedding. People have untold potential for good. And we have to see the good and believe in them. Not like the Nesiim, who failed to believe in the goodness of the people. But when your enemy tells you they're going to do something evil, as Menachem Begin said, the number one lesson from the Holocaust is believe them. We've already learned that during this invasion of Ukraine. Let's hope the world will remember this lesson. Shabbat Shalom.